Good morning, children, and welcome to my assembly. I hope you've all had a great weekend. The peace of the Lord be with you all. I will bless you with a future filled with hope, a future of success, not of suffering. Now, children, I don't know if you recognize this picture, but it is of someone who has recently died. So you may have heard about that on the news, or you may already have heard about her because she was very, very well known. Her name was Vera Lynn, and these pictures show her when she was a young woman, when she became famous, and the other picture much more recently. And she actually lived to be 103 years old, which is pretty impressive. And she's very well known because of her important role during the Second World War. So she actually, around the time of the start of the Second World War, she had her own radio program on the radio called Yours Sincerely. Sorry, it's called Sincerely Yours. And this program was listened to all over the world by the troops that were taking part in the Second World War, which, as you know, was a war that involved many countries all over the world. And she became very well known, and the men in the army who were all over the world liked listening to her radio broadcast because it reminded them of home. And also, occasionally, she would actually travel to different places to perform for the soldiers to cheer them up. Because if you can imagine, children, the Second World War went on for many years, and it meant that large numbers of men in the army, and it was really just men then, were all over the world fighting, and their families and wives and children were all still at home in England. And so they would obviously really have missed them very much. And Vera Lynn going out to sing and perform to them was something that they really enjoyed and reminded them of home, and also reminded them that they were being thought about at home by their families. And she sang some really famous songs which had been written really to provide a real boost to people and to cheer them up. And a particularly famous, well-known one is We'll Meet Again, which you can listen to after this assembly on the Purple Mash blog. And We'll Meet Again was a reminder that this wasn't going to last forever. The war wasn't going to last forever. It was a symbol of hope to all those people, to remind them that there would be a time when they could be reunited happily with their families. And actually, although this was happening over 75 years ago during the Second World War, even now, that message of hope and being together again is incredibly powerful, especially after this time when we've all been apart in lockdown in our own homes and not seen each other. And I know I've really missed having everybody at school, and I know that you've missed coming to school, and it's great that lots of you are now able to come back to school, and we're really enjoying seeing you as you come back. But that song, We'll Meet Again, is a hopeful song saying that this doesn't last forever. This time of difficulty won't last forever. There will be a time when we shall all be reunited and this will be over. Now, she had a very long life and continued to be famous after the war, and continued to sing songs and sell records all over the world. And I think she actually was #1 in America for a song that she performed at one point. But she also did some other wonderful things. So she started a charity for children who suffer from cerebral palsy, which is a very difficult illness for children to have. And it's a fantastic charity I think it's called the Vera Lynn Children's Charity. And it raises lots of money and does lots of wonderful work with children who are suffering. And she also did a lot to help with lots of other things as well. And at one point she said, I got so many letters, I still get them now, and I'm always moved by them. It seemed extraordinary that soldiers would come back from the war and write to thank me for what I had done. It made me feel very humble, and that's why I've always done everything I can to thank them back, because they were so grateful for how she had kept them cheerful during the war that she'd had lots of letters from people who'd been fighting in the wars, even after the war had finished, for many years after. But she always felt that she had a duty to support the country in lots of different ways, right up until she died. And in fact, she was involved in the recent celebrations for VE Day, which celebrated that happening 75 years ago recently. So, shall we just prepare ourselves for prayer and have a moment of reflection? Vera Lynn lived her life well and had an enormous impact on many people. She used her gifts for the benefit of others. How are we going to use our lives to help others? Let's thank God for the life of Vera Lynn and for the hope and peace that her music has brought to so many people. Now let's pause and think about people who are fighting in war-torn areas today. In the quietness, let's ask God to bring peace. Let's pause also to think about our own lives. How can we use our lives to help others? Vera Lynn used her talent of singing to bring peace and hope to people in a time of fear and sadness. All of us have talents that we can use to bring happiness to others. Are we willing to use these talents? Let's also look forward to the time when we can all be together again. And we say the prayer together. We thank you for the life of Vera Lynn. We thank you for the joy, peace and hope that she brought to many people. Please help us to follow her example and use our gifts and abilities to help others. Please be with all those who are experiencing fear at this time. Amen. Okay, so last week I showed you some pictures of Mr. Harris demonstrating the sports day activities for the juniors, and I've added some pictures here of Mr. Matthews demonstrating the sports day activities for the infants. So those films are accessible on the Blue Coat YouTube channel and also on Purple Mash. So if you haven't yet done those activities, then please do have a look and have a go and send us some pictures and even your times, because we are sharing those on Twitter. And we're really pleased that lots of you have been doing those at home, even if you're not yet back at school. And of course, the children in school at the moment have been doing those at school as well, which is fantastic. And also, I want to just mention, and I'm going to keep mentioning this now, our summer reading challenges, because just like every year, we want you to make good use of your summer holiday. And it's probably more important now than ever, because lots of you have been away from school for so many weeks that you really need to keep polishing your reading skills and doing lots and lots of reading. So we've got the two challenges that we always have. There's the one to take part with the library, and you may need to actually go online to register for that, because at the moment the libraries are not open. I'm hoping they will open soon, but you can still take part in the library challenge, which is called Silly Squad this year. You can see the characters at the top there, and you can do print things off online to complete and then bring them in to show us in September, and there'll be prizes for children that take part in those. If the libraries do open, then you will be able to go there and borrow books and to get your certificates and medals and things from the library itself. But even if it doesn't, you can still do lots of reading using the online materials. And if you look at last week's blueprint, there is a link to that page explaining about that. Also, the other part of the challenge is for you to send us photos of you reading at home or when you go away. So you may go away somewhere interesting. You can see some fabulous pictures here from last year of children reading in really interesting places. And we like you to send us those photos as well during the holiday, and we can put them on Twitter and our website, and also bring them in at the start of next term in September. And again, there will be prizes for children taking part in these really important challenges, which ultimately really help you with your learning, because reading is so important, children. Okay, now after this film, you can click on the films, a really brilliant film of Vera Lynn singing We'll Meet Again, but then lots of other people joining in with her from now, modern times. So it shows the original film clip of her singing over 75 years ago, but then also there's other singers and musicians taking part, and it was filmed during the time of the lockdown. So it was a really poignant message about not just about the Second World War and the sacrifice that people made at that time, but also at this time as well, which we've just been through, where people have had to stay in their homes. And it was a reminder that we would one day soon be able to come out of lockdown and be together again. And I'm pleased that that time is starting now. And also then after that, there's another great song which you can join in called Build Up, which lots of you know very well. But the version on Purple Mash has got someone showing you the actions. So do join in and sing along with that. It's a fantastic song, all about celebrating each other's skills and strengths. So thank you very much for listening this morning. It's great to see you. I hope you have a great day and a great week. Bye.